is Meg. My name is Meg Smith, and I am the Deputy Dean in the School of Business. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to this, our second School Principals and School Leaders Breakfast. We are delighted to have 44 schools represented, and we are joined by school principals, curriculum leaders, and student leaders. A warm welcome back to a number of schools who joined us at our first breakfast. We look forward to updating you on a number of our 2020 and 2021 initiatives. In welcoming you this morning, I acknowledge that we are gathered on the lands of many Aboriginal nations, and I acknowledge their long evident custodianship and care of the land. The university's campuses occupy the traditional lands of the Darug, Eora, Darawal, and Wiradjuri peoples. I acknowledge their elders past and present and thank them for the support of the university's work in their lands. Our event this morning features a number of presentations addressing innovative pathways, courses, student employability, professional development, and our Year 10 Business Blueprint competition. The presentation will be followed by a question and answer session where there will be extended opportunity for discussion. I should note also that an information pack will be distributed to all schools. We ask that you hold your verbal questions until the Q&A session, but there is an opportunity to post comments and questions in the chat function throughout. This function appears at the bottom of your screen. Throughout the event, would you, however, be kind enough to mute your microphones? To formally welcome you this morning, I would like to introduce the Senior Deputy Vice-Chancellor of the University, Professor Denise Kirkpatrick. Professor Kirkpatrick is recognised internationally for her scholarly contributions to the field of technology-enhanced learning and quality assurance in higher education. She has been at the forefront of developing strategies to enhance teaching and learning at many of Australia's leading universities, as well as in the United Kingdom. Her strategic leadership has underpinned the success of a number of projects designed to invigorate academic programs and, importantly, in the context of this morning's event, improve the student experience. Denise, may I invite you to formally open our breakfast this morning?
Thank you very much, Meg. Good morning and welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for joining the School of Business here this morning. I'm sure that you will all find it a highly engaging session, and I do encourage you to use the chat function and certainly encourage you to ask questions when you have the opportunity at the end of the presentations. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we're meeting. Meg has identified the range of custodians of the lands of the university, and I know that all of you are distributed around the Western Sydney region. I am greeting you from the lands of the Eora people, and I pay my respects to leaders past and present. I would like to thank the Dean of the School of Business, Professor Amir Mahmood, for inviting me to welcome you here this morning. Welcoming school leaders, school principals, and particularly student leaders is one of those aspects of my job that is particularly rewarding. And while I can't be meeting all of you in person, the opportunity to join you and to welcome you via Zoom is something that I'm deeply appreciative of. I hope that at the end of this session, you will have a deeper understanding of the university and the School of Business, the programs that we offer, and certainly the high quality student experience and graduate outcomes that our School of Business is renowned for. You will also learn a little bit more about the Blueprint Business Idea competition, and I know some of you here participated in last year's competition. Just a very quick summary. Western Sydney University is very, very proud of the role that our students play in the university. Our students as partners projects play a pivotal role in our 21C curriculum innovation, and our student leaders have a very strong and real influence on the university, what we teach, how we teach, and the quality of the student experience. Western Sydney is rightly proud of its position in the Times Higher Education World Impact Rankings. Last year, we were very pleased to rank highly. This year, we are number 3 in the world for the impact that we have. We are in the top 5 in the world for 6 of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. These are a very important part of who we are at Western Sydney. We were chosen this year to be the United Nations Global Hub for reducing inequalities and the leadership that we've shown in that area. The UN SDGs impact on all of us. They affect our lives, and the recent COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted to all of us just how important sustainability and reducing inequality is. If there has ever been something that has had world impact, that has absolutely demonstrated the inequality across the globe, it's been COVID-19. The work that this university is doing in addressing COVID-19 from a social as well as a health and medical perspective is world leading. But also so are all of the projects and work that our staff and students do with the local and global communities. So thank you again. I'm looking forward to you participating in this morning's session, in learning more about our School of Business, the achievements of our school, but also in learning more about ways in which you as a student, as a principal, as a school leader, can interact more with the School of Business and interact more with the university. Building those relationships is absolutely critical, and we look forward to you being strong partners with us. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Denise. It's great to have you with us this morning. Your presence today is a reflection of university's absolute commitment to work closely and deeply with the schools in the region to make a difference, to make an impact. Once again, a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. Like last year, our plan was to host this breakfast on the 9th floor of our state-of-the-art campus in the heart of Parramatta City. However, in the current climate, that was not possible. But please, trust me, we are a very good host. A number of you who are very familiar faces today will testify that. As a team, in a very humble way, I'm extremely proud of our school, our staff, our programs, our students, our alumni, and our partners. Our partnerships with industry, businesses, government agencies, community organizations, and of course, with the schools in the region are creating mutually beneficial outcomes for our stakeholders. They are not only outcomes, they are outcomes with impact. We are a world-class business school with partnership, linkages, and associations across the globe. We've got world-class learning and teaching facilities. Our academics are undertaking cutting-edge research, delivering world-class programs, and producing global business executives and leaders. We are also a comprehensive business school offering undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD programs. We are a school that firmly believes in lifelong learning, offering upskilling and professional development courses to industry and our stakeholder. We are a school with a difference, and we are making a difference. We take pride in our students' academic excellence. However, as we all know, academic excellence is a necessary but not a sufficient condition to prepare our graduates for a rapidly changing environment which are very testing and challenging. What makes us distinct and very special is our focus not only on academic excellence, but also on professional excellence to ensure that our graduates are future-proof. I feel like talking a bit more, but as a dean, I was given only 3 minutes. So now I will pass on to our Deputy Dean, Associate Professor Meg Smith, to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Amir. I would like to introduce Dr. Francine Garland, our Director of Undergraduate Programs, who is going to outline a number of exciting admission initiatives for the university for 2021, as well as key courses for the School of Business.
Thanks so much, Meg. As Director of Undergraduate Programs, a key element of my role is taking interest in the transition of your students into their studies here at Western Sydney and their retention. Another part of my role is to support and coordinate a team of academic course advisors within the school. Every one of your students, when they come here, will have an academic course advisor that's allocated to them for the duration of their program and will be beside them as they continue on in that journey. For today, I wanted to talk about our admissions for 2021 and briefly overview our programs with a view to highlighting what makes them distinctive. Thanks, Ramonda. We're extending our True Rewards initiative to 2021 admissions, as well as giving students the option of receiving an offer based on either their Year 11 or Year 12 results. Students can apply based on the Year 11 results and receive an offer on condition that they successfully complete their HSC exams. Under our True Rewards scheme, students' results in HSC business studies of at least band 4 is the minimum requirement to be eligible for an early offer into our Bachelor of Business or Bachelor of Accounting. As an added value for True Rewards, students will have exclusive access to a new first of its kind digital platform, Alpha Edge. And our Associate Dean Teaching and Learning, Jane Bai, is going to provide a few more details on that initiative for us. But for now, I'd like to just briefly overview the business programs we have that your students might like to apply for. Firstly, our Bachelor of Accounting. This degree is the only one in the country that provides an opportunity for students to secure 3 industry accreditations if they complete sub-majors in financial planning and taxation. It's a specialised course, and as such, it's designed for students who are really interested in pursuing a career in accounting. Our ABL program, or Advanced Business Leadership program, is available to high achieving students who have a minimum ATAR of 90. Now, this program includes units that are dedicated to developing students' leadership skills, and it also offers a range of opportunities through our university's academy. For those students that don't have an ATAR of 90, but go on to gain and maintain a credit result, a credit GPA in their first year of study, we're going to recognise that achievement and invite them into the ABL program for their second year. The Bachelor of Business Pathway to Teaching Secondary is one of our more recent programs that has been growing in popularity. I think it's in fact doubled in size since we first launched it. Now, this really extends students' career opportunities in that they not only graduate with a business degree, but they have a pathway then to go on into the Master of Teaching should they wish to pursue a secondary teaching career. The program meets NESA requirements, and it's a robust, comprehensive foundation of business knowledge and skills to teach effectively across the full spectrum, the full curriculum at secondary school. It also offers second teaching areas in history and political thought, geography or urban studies, or mathematics. As director of this program, I must say that I've been extremely encouraged by the calibre of students choosing to do this degree. Many of them are truly exceptional academically. Finally, our main program is the Bachelor of Business. One of the more recently established degrees in the country. It's designed to stimulate students' interests right from their first year. And it also looks at developing students beyond technical know-how and towards those soft skills that we hear so much about, but within a framework of collaborative learning and genuinely authentic assessment. I wanted to spend just a little more time talking about the Bachelor of Business as our main degree, because it certainly has elements that make it distinct from other business degrees. Firstly, many business degrees require students to invest their first year of study completing foundation units across the scope of each business-related discipline, and they don't hit their major area of interest until their second year. Conversely, students in our degree are provided with the essential foundation knowledge with introductory law and management units together with 2 cross-disciplinary units as foundation core. So this means we're exposing students to cross-disciplinary thinking right from the outset, a way of thinking that is really a necessary part of business thinking today. This also frees up the structure of our degree to incorporate units from the student's chosen major so that they have this sense of relevance to their area of business interest in their first year. Peppered throughout their degree, students complete a set of 4 professional core units that are unique to the degree, and they're specifically designed to nurture students' personal attributes and develop their soft skills, which I'm going to leave for Jane to discuss in a little more detail. The final component of our degree includes a suite of 8 elective units. Now, this isn't unique to business degrees. However, what we have done is to add value by developing some clearly defined options, packages of study that really is different. Excuse me. So students can use their elective space indeed to complete another business major. However, we have developed a suite of very comprehensive non-business majors that are nonetheless specifically designed for business students. So the choice of a non-business major can not only extend students' career options, but it also gives them a means by which they can differentiate themselves from other business graduates. And you can see here we've got some really interesting and some cutting-edge areas of study that students can choose from. I have a student at the moment who's soon to graduate. She is doing her business degree with a major in applied finance and a non-business major, excuse me, in health management. And I think she is going to be a really, really valuable graduate when she finishes. She's got that financial knowledge, but she's also chosen to study in a sector that's growing globally, and there'll be an enormous range of opportunities for her there as a result. So just to summarise the key features of our business degree: a collaborative cross-disciplinary foundation core. Students get into their area of interest right from their first year. The suite of innovative non-business majors that I just presented to you then. We also have dedicated industry experienced teaching staff, which does make a difference to our students' education. We have an option for students to move into our advanced business program with a strong GPA in their first year. And lastly, our degree very much focuses on employability and work integrated learning, which I'd like to hand over to Dr. Jane Bai to discuss in a little bit more detail and employability generally. Thanks, Jane.
Thanks, Fran. Good morning, everyone. This morning, I'd like to talk to you about how the School of Business approaches the somewhat complex issue of employability. As educators, I think we share a focus on student outcomes, especially in relation to transition to jobs and careers. And I imagine that many of us share a particular concern at the moment, as I don't think any of us can have a discussion about employability in the current context without taking on board some fairly sobering projections about what it's going to be like for graduates in the next few years. As we move into recession with probably worse to come, as we're hearing reports daily, we're certainly mindful of the fact that our young workers and graduates experience labour market insecurity very, very directly, and it can have an impact on how they transition to their careers. And if patterns that emerged since the global financial crisis are any indication, we know that recent graduates will take longer to get a foothold into the labour market, and even when they do, it might not be a full-time job. One thing we're already starting to hear about is the possibility of greater demand for undergraduate and probably postgraduate university places as students make decisions to ride out the downturn over the next couple of years and focus on gaining qualifications that we know in any context will provide strong outcomes over the length of a career. We're having a Q&A session at the end, as was previously mentioned, and I'd be really fascinated to know if you're seeing your senior students change their decisions or respond to the current context in terms of the decision making they're doing around university or trying for jobs next year. And I'd also be interested to hear from the students that I know we've got with us in the meeting today. It'd be fascinating to see how you're reading the context at the moment. So what do we do if we want to support our graduates to become highly employable, even under difficult conditions? Well, my message this morning, amidst the doom and gloom, which I won't dwell on, is a fairly simple one. Our focus remains very strongly on making sure we produce business graduates prepared for any context, and this is what we've always tried to do, both at the point of their transition to the labour market, which is an important point, an important step, and also ongoingly throughout their careers. We use our strong industry relationships to stay in touch with the changing context and the demand for graduates. And we work with the emerging strategies in the university, and I'll say some more about that. We've got some exciting projects happening. Fran mentioned the Alpha platform, and I'll say a little bit about that. We work very closely with the Office of Employability and Graduate Success. And we're also committed to an approach to employability that takes in and develops the whole person and provides and values diversity of experience and develops the ability of students, most importantly, I think, to communicate this to graduate employers. Because education and employability more broadly is about more than preparing students for a job. Our graduate employability arises out of a business education for active and engaged citizenship, and it's one that develops the capacities that will allow graduates to flourish in work and in life. And we work really hard to provide every advantage to our students through the particular strengths we have in the school and the university more widely. And these are some of our recognised strengths. Our graduates are popular with employers. According to the latest data from the federal government's quality indicators for learning and teaching, the employer satisfaction survey section of that data collection saw Western graduates rated highest in New South Wales amongst employers for employer satisfaction. This is a very large survey. More than 4,000 employers comment on the skills, attributes and work readiness of graduates, and Western rated first in that survey. Now that's a university-wide analysis, but certainly School of Business graduates are contributing to that outcome, one that we're very proud of. Professional accreditation is another area that we take a lot of pride in the School of Business and see as really important. We try to use professional accreditation really strategically to position our students and position our graduates for work. For example, Fran mentioned before the accreditation of our accounting degree. As she mentioned, we're the only course in Australia to have all accounting accreditations and financial planning accreditation and the Tax Practitioners Board accreditation, which is required by law for all accountants and financial advisors who provide tax advice. So by completing our Bachelor of Accounting degree and doing the financial planning and tax majors, which we direct students into to maximise the effectiveness of their study, Students don't have to do any additional study. Once they graduate, it's all covered in the degree. And our accountants and financial planners are in high demand, especially of financial planning students, getting snapped up before they even finish their course. So this is how we use accreditation to promote our courses, and also to make sure our students go into the workplace with very well recognised qualifications and skills. And finally, we've got really strong industry engagement in Greater Western Sydney and beyond. What does this mean for employability? Well, internships, industry projects are key to students developing their employability skills. We've got students doing internships and projects in companies like Linfox, IKEA, PwC, Deloitte. We work with all of the local councils in Greater Western Sydney, Bankwest Stadium, major sporting organisations. We've got partnerships with National Australia Bank, stockbrokers and financial advisors, St George, Ernst & Young. Many of these organisations are basically on our doorstep. With the home of the School of Business in the Parramatta CBD, these are our neighbours, and that since we moved there in 2017, we've worked on building those relationships with the business community, which literally surrounds us. And this creates the links for our graduates to gain employment right on our doorstep, and it's a really important aspect of our strategy. Fran also mentioned in detail our programs, and I think one of the things we like to say is that the employability is built into significant aspects of our programs. We've got some key priority areas that we feel are really strong in our Bachelor of Business degrees and our undergraduate degrees more generally. Work integrated learning. A good example of work integrated learning is our third year engaged units, where students work with industry clients to consult, to solve problems, to do research projects for clients. And this provides students with exposure to authentic tasks within the professions, and it's incredibly important also for the development of professional skills, but also that notion of professional identity. A really important value add, I guess, for many of our students who are first in family in our cohort, who don't necessarily have access to professional role models. And so the work integrated learning and access to professional work is a really important element of their growth as students and as potentially employable graduates. We often use alumni in our work integrated learning. For example, in our human resource management program, we've got a model of work integrated learning where we use alumni to come back and work with the students on projects. We've got 30 years of HR graduates in our business degrees, and that's a big pool to draw upon. And many of our graduates and alumni have strong connections with Western Sydney, and so we see a big urge amongst them to come back and to give back. Our internship strategy is another area I'd like to focus on. In both work integrated learning and internships, we see the importance of the reciprocal relationships with our industry. As clients in our engaged units and as hosts for internships, our industry partners get to see our students in action. And many use this as a means of recruiting students. And as academics, we're often asked by our partners to recommend lists of students for the purposes of recruitment. The school has a new internship strategy under development with an increase in both the number of students and the number of industry partners that we're working with to produce curriculum embedded internships. And as its goal, we're working to a target of 200 undergraduate student places per year by the end of 2021. So some ambitious targets there for the school. I'll just mention very quickly our mobility programs. We have international opportunities for students, and we find these are really valuable in terms of employability. In the last 3 years, the School of Business has really ramped up its commitment to providing opportunities for students to undertake mobility tours internationally. We've had excellent funding success with the DFAT funded New Colombo plan, and this provides funds for students and helps students pay for the costs of their mobility tours. We've had students in Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, Vietnam, India and China in increasing numbers over the last few years. And I've watched the culture around the expectation that students have around international mobility. In days gone by, it was not widely practiced in the school, but over the last few years, we're seeing more and more students. The more students go, the more student interest we gain. The important element of this experience for students isn't only the exposure to international business and global entrepreneurship hubs, it's probably even more about the sense of confidence that our students come back with. One of the tour leaders said to me, the students just walk a bit taller when they come back. And so we're seeing this growth in students through opportunities that we've provided in the school. We're hoping the success of this area of our initiatives isn't disrupted for too long, but difficult to say under the current context. But of course, the School of Business doesn't do employability on its own. We've built strong links with the wider university programs around employability. We've got strong links with career services in the university who provide access to jobs on campus, paid internships and job opportunities that come through their Career Hub portal, a really important service for students. We work really closely with the Office of Employability and Graduate Success, and most recently the school has had close advisory involvement in the latest university-wide initiative that Fran mentioned, known as Alpha. Alpha is the centrepiece of the new Western employability strategy, and it represents the current thinking in the university about how we best capture our graduates' capacities and help students develop and understand themselves as learners, as community members, and as employable graduates. And very importantly, it's designed to help students be able to communicate the value of their experiences to graduate employers. How does it work? Well, it's an app, of course. It's still under development, but there are big plans to extend the range of uses. The app starts with a student self-assessment process, and based on the data collected, students then receive a personalised feed with activities, job information, news about their profession. So it's a one-stop tool to help students engage with their employability. As students engage with the activities, they record their reflections on the completed tasks, and this data contributes to a capacities profile. There's some pretty clever AI in the back end of this app. And so students come out with a sense of being able to articulate what their capacities are in a way that they can communicate to employers. As Fran mentioned, it's being used in the True Rewards program aimed at students wanting to use their Year 11 results. And it will deliver a range of activities for those students to complete that will orient them to university life. Alpha is also currently being used to support student job seekers who've been adversely affected by COVID-19. They're being asked to register on the app, and the app's being used to match them with job opportunities still in existence. School of Business students were part of the pilot late last year, and we're actively contributing to the development of this initiative, which we think is really exciting and really represents the cutting edge of employability development in universities at the moment. I'll stop there for now, but I'd like to introduce you to my colleague, Dr. Michelle Cull, Associate Dean for Engagement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jane, and good morning, everybody. I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes now taking you through the professional development program for financial literacy training for secondary teachers that we have on offer later this year. And I wondered if you knew that more than 60% of 15-year-olds in Australia rely on their teachers to obtain information about money matters. And this might include things such as spending, saving, banking and investment. And this is much higher than the average for all of the other OECD countries. The latest program for international student assessment that was conducted in 2018 actually shows that students who are more exposed to financial education at secondary school are more likely to enjoy talking about money matters. And that's also been shown to help with financial capability later in life. Unfortunately, over the last 6 years, the financial literacy of the average 15-year-old in Australia has actually dropped considerably, and the gender gap has also increased. So it's for this reason that we have chosen to partner with the Money Smart team from ASIC to assist secondary teachers to connect to all of the initiatives that are available nationally and globally for financial literacy education. And we'd like to help to develop teaching strategies using the relevant resources that are available from the Money Smart team to build the financial capability of students. So the program is fully accredited professional development with NESA, You can see on your screen there the 3 standard and focus areas that have been accredited. The event itself is to be held later this year in October, and it's planned to be held on our Parramatta campus. The event will be hands-on and interactive with workshops aimed at integrating financial literacy into the curriculum, whether this be English, geography, history, science, business, it could be creative arts, home science, or even things like woodwork or metalwork. So we want to be able to brainstorm cross-curricular projects as well, and how we can integrate financial literacy into something that maybe you already do really well at your school. There'll be units of work available to work from, and also some resource packs to work with that are aligned with the current curriculum. The event will also include some presentations and case studies from teachers who have successfully and creatively integrated financial literacy into their curriculum, and how they've used the Money Smart resources to help in teaching financial literacy. We will also demonstrate how to use some current events, such as the recent bushfires, the pandemic, and now the recession, to teach financial literacy and to highlight the relevance of these skills to your students. So there's no cost for the event. It's fully supported by both the School of Business at Western Sydney University and Money Smart. We will send out further details and a registration link closer to the date. But in the meantime, if you can put this date into your diaries, that would be great. So that's Monday, the 26th of October at our Parramatta CBD campus. Now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Michael Lewin, a lecturer here in our business school, and he will tell you more about the exciting Year 10 Blueprint competition. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michelle. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today, I'm really delighted to announce that we are running the Blueprint Business Idea Competition for the 2nd time running. All right. Last year, we had 40 teams registered for the competition, and the top 5 groups presented their business ideas in the finals. Later on, I would be showing you some of the photos from last year, so you have an idea of what it feels like and what it looks like. Before I get started, on Zoom at the bottom, there's a little reaction button. So if you like what you see, please feel free to give me a thumbs up or a little clap in the reaction button, okay? All right, quick overview of the competition. We created the competition with the idea that we're going to be engaging with the Year 10 high school students. At Western, we are a student-centered university. We truly believe in learning through the experience, and that's part of the reason why we created this competition. We wanted the students and empower them through that first-hand entrepreneurial learning experience. So I'll just give you a quick competition goals and what we are trying to achieve from this competition. Has anyone seen a Shark Tank? Can I get like a raise your hand if you've seen Shark Tank before? None of you? Gosh, you guys are like my students. I can see some hands, excellent. All right, the competition is a bit like, thank you so much. The competition is a bit like Shark Tank. It's a mini Shark Tank, right? The students will attempt to resolve a customer problem, and they will conceptualize, build, and manage a business. So the proposal is essentially, what is the business idea and how does it resolve the problem? And then selling that and selling that pitch to the team. So the competition prizes, I think this is probably why most of you are here, right? You want to know what am I getting for it? So the first the winning team will be receiving $3,000. That's for the entire group. And then the winning school also receives some financial benefits. In this case, $5,000, a lot of money, okay? But look, I think it's a worthwhile cause. And I think, that's part of the reason why we are very proud of this competition. And I'll show you some of the photos later on. In terms of the submission dates, so there's a 2-stage submission process. The first stage is where we invite the students to submit the 3-page written component. The submission will open on 1st of August and it will close on the 23rd of October. Once the students have submitted, a panel will be reviewing all their submissions, and the top groups will be invited to the finals through a video recording on the 20th of November, and then we will have a judging panel on the 27th of November. So this is slightly different to last year, where last year, we were able to have that face-to-face conversation and the students pitch right in front of the judges. because of coronavirus, we don't know what's going to happen. So that's why we have opted for the online. But I can guarantee you, we will make it as fun and as interactive as last year. Okay, I can promise you on that. All right. So who can be involved in the competition? It consists of a team and needs to be year 10 students and anywhere between 2 to 5. And we have no limit in terms of how many teams from each of the schools. So, you know, as many as you like, I guess. More from the judging panel perspective, you know, we'd be a bit harsher depending on the quality of the content, rather than we don't look at, oh, you know, this school versus this school. We don't even look at the team names. We don't even look at the school names. What we do is we just look at your content and we rank those based on the content quality. In terms of the judging criteria, the business idea would be judged on 4 areas: business description, feasibility, business strategy, creativity, and innovation. And I will be providing more information about the brief via email after the event. We'll be sending an email out. Thank you. In terms of the blueprint competition, I would like to show you what the competition looked like last year. We have some photos, so I'm going to share some of these photos with you guys. So when the students arrived, they were greeted with these amazing looking prizes. All right, I saw when the students walked into the room, I saw their jaws just dropped. All right, they were in awe with these prizes. They were like, oh, how do I get my hands on it? But before the event, they also had a lot of fun. They took a lot of photos with their friends, as you can see in this photo. They had a chance to play with some of the toys at Western. So this is Pepper the humanoid robots. We used Pepper for a lot of our research, and the students had a chance to play around with Pepper. The teachers also had a lot of fun. You know, they had a lot of photo opportunity with their students. And the next photo, you can see that the students are having too much fun before the presentation. All right. It's not just the students, even our dean had a lot of fun. So I think you can see by the faces of everyone in the background, everyone is having a great time. The students came, they pitched their heart out. The groups did fantastically well. And they were grilled by the judging panel. Our judging panel consisted of academics, industry partners from News Corp and Thrive. And you know, they really grilled the groups with their presentations. But the students came, they collected all the prizes, you know, they had a great time. And I think what's probably more rewarding is that they learned something through that experience. At the end of the event, you know, they had a chance to network and talk to people. And specifically, the students had a chance to speak to the academics at Western Sydney University, you know, wanting to know more about the courses and more about, you know, what is it like learning at Western Sydney. So if you are interested in the competition, there is an EOI for the registration. If you have any questions, please drop an email to business.blueprint@westernsydney.edu.au. So on that note, thank you so much for coming in, and I would like to pass it back to Meg to answer any of your questions. Thank you, Meg.
Thank you very much, Michael. So we come now to our question and answer session, and there's a number of ways in which everybody can participate. Just a reminder at the beginning that an information pack for all participating schools will be distributed to schools, and that will include the slides from this morning. So our guests can use the digital hand function, which can be accessed by, if you click on the participants tab at the bottom of your screen, all of the participants will show up and you can raise your hand, and that will be an opportunity for me to call upon you to ask a question, unmute at that particular point in time. All questions can be put into the chat function, and I can direct questions to my colleagues, any of the speakers from this morning. So there's a number of opportunities, and I also have colleagues to assist me that if I'm unintentionally overlooking a question, it will be brought to my attention. So please take the opportunity to answer questions. There's been a few on the chat. I think a question about the Fast Forward program, which we will follow up. Francine has indicated follow up on that. And just while the questions are coming in, Michael, I was wondering if I could just call upon you to talk about some of the assistance that were provided to teams while they were preparing their initial proposals, please, for the competition.
Yeah, sure, Meg. So we gave all the teams that registered for the competition a welcome pack. Within the welcome pack, you will receive learning resources. These are all the online tools to think about your, how do you do research, right? How do you find consumer insights or, like competitor analysis, or how do you develop a target market or run a campaign, or think about the business idea, or how do you propose or pitch the business ideas. So the online resources will help you with that. There's also a lot of resources in terms of consultation. So the students that submitted the proposal, they will have a 15-minute consultation with one of our staff members to give them some guidance in terms of, okay, this is what you should be thinking about your proposal. This is the idea. Okay, this is how you should pitch the idea. So that process really helps the student sort of prepare for that 3-pager. For the groups that goes into the final, we have a very intensive consultation with the Western Sydney University team. Last year I probably had about 2 to 3 really intensive sessions with the groups to go through the slides and in terms of how you should say it and what you should say. So that process would be looked after by the Western Sydney University staff. So I guess for the teachers is more like, just want to make sure the students are doing the work. That's our job. In terms of the quality of work, in terms of the content, we will look after that. With the consultation for the finalists, it really depends on how many groups we have in the finals. If we have a lot of students, then we might be a bit wary of the time. But so those are just some of the resources, Meg.
Thank you, Michael. Just again, as questions are coming in, Fran, could I ask you just to talk about the sorts of assistance that might be available to prospective students who are potentially thinking about, which major they might be interested in the Bachelor of Business?
So we certainly have academic course advisors available to assist students with that decision making. Hopefully, although it's going to be virtual, our open day that's coming up in the not too distant future will provide students or prospective students with an opportunity to have those discussions. But we're certainly available for any of the high schools or careers units if they want to reach out and would like some even a presentation to their students at high school about different majors and different career options that are associated with those. We'd be more than happy to coordinate that kind of effort as well. So we'd welcome that. So yeah, thanks, Meg.
Jane, if I could just take you to explaining some of the projects that students do, how they integrate it with their study when they perhaps go on a new Colombo Plan tour, please.
Okay, yeah, sure. Thanks, Meg. Our new Colombo Plan funding is linked to the curriculum very closely. So we have academics who apply for funding, link the travel to one of the units of study in the degree. And so while mostly our units are delivered face-to-face on campus, they provide, they translate, if you like, the units of study into the international experience. And so students still meet the same unit learning outcomes as if they were studying face-to-face, but they get so much more. There's a slightly revised approach to the assessment, which takes in the types of learning that students are doing when they're in their country of the project. And students then complete a series of activities, usually a group-based project that asks them to delve very deeply into the particular context in which we're in. For example, in Seoul, which we know is a really strong hub of entrepreneurial activity, those students would be focused on studying entrepreneurial initiatives. Our students then did, for example, comparisons between the sorts of supports that we see from the Korean government compared to, say, supports through the New South Wales government for entrepreneurship. And so they do a deep dive into, in this case, a comparative study between Australia and South Korea. They then come back and present their findings as a group. And usually we have industry partners come in. So for example, we had representatives from local government in New South Wales come to look at the, to hear the comparative analysis of how entrepreneurial activity is supported in different ways through infrastructure, government infrastructure. And that was a particularly amazing set of presentations from students there. So they close the loop on their whole experience by providing those presentations when they come back. And the students come in very large numbers to support those presentations. Their colleagues in the school, we broaden the invitation to academic colleagues, to other students. And through that, we get this incredible word of mouth about what it's like to go on the international tours.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Jane. Michelle, if I could just ask you to just expand upon the workshop in October and perhaps just outline that there'll be a range of speakers and organisations involved there to really enrich that professional development day.
Thank you, Meg. Yes, so we will actually have staff from ASIC and the Money Smart team attending the Professional Development Day. They're very experienced in delivering these types of events, but this one will be slightly different because we will also have some of our own staff involved with the professional development. We'll also have Associate Professor Catherine Attard, who's in our School of Education at Western Sydney. She will also be presenting about a project that she has been working on with a number of schools and public transport and how financial literacy is embedded into that project. Many of you probably have heard of Catherine. She's an expert in mathematics education, but the objective of this professional development workshop is to actually look at how we can integrate financial literacy into other subjects, because it's not necessarily something that just has to be taught in maths. And as we know, a lot of students find maths itself quite difficult. But by making financial literacy contextual, we're hoping that that will be able to help lift the financial literacy levels of our secondary students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Fran, if I could just perhaps go back to you and given your involvement, perhaps just detail how our students were involved in a research project involving Bankwest Stadium, please, and were able to integrate that in their studies.
Yeah, this was a fantastic opportunity for the students, and I think that the university is quite rightly proud with the capacity to draw students in as partners to not only help with the development of curriculum initiatives, but also to actually engage in research projects that are relevant, that are client-based, so they're industry-based. So we had a team of our sport management students who took part in the data collection for a major research project on Bankwest Stadium with Parramatta Eels as partners. So students learnt an enormous amount, not only from just being part of that research process, but it certainly went some ways to develop them academically too, when they had a sense of how the work that they were doing was actually contributing to the outcomes of the research. And I think the other thing that was personally rewarding was being able to see some of these students really blossom in terms of their levels of confidence, and develop a sense of belief in their own capacity for doing that kind of work. So yeah, no, it was a great project for them.
Thank you, Fran. And thank you also for the comments on the chat. I might also note that there's the opportunity not only with the information pack that will be distributed to all schools, but a chance for questions that may arise while you're reflecting upon this morning and reflecting upon the issues that are raised to direct those questions back to me. I just would now like to call upon our Dean, Professor Amir Mahmood, to provide some closing comments. If further questions arise in the interim, we will certainly address them. So Amir.
Thank you, Meg. Well, thanks for your questions and comments. Let me confess, I never thought that we can have such a meaningful and wonderful breakfast meeting without having even breakfast. So that was wonderful. Now, whether we are from the School of Business or leading a high school or college, we share a common denominator. And that's our passion, our commitment to ensure that we produce graduates who have ability, skill, attributes, competencies, and tools to make a difference, to make an impact. Now, once again, I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us this morning. I would also like to thank our professional and academic team to come up with this event under a very testing and challenging environment. So please have a great day and stay in touch. Cheers. Goodbye.